All Along and Grotesquerie. Let's get started. First up, Grotesquerie.
Detective, you have an entire family murdered.
Think of the worst thing you could never unsee.
This is evil.
So you're the nun who's a journalist covering crime?
I'm interested in rituals, cults, and their place in American life.
You have to really hate people to do what was done here.
It's better to look at the evil than to ignore it, Father.
And what if you enjoy the looking?
Seems like this killer is taunting you.
There's no future after this.
People want evil.
I get a shiver in my quiver just thinking about it.
Oh man, so many great actors in this. Let's start with Pat. Talk about Say Hey to the People and then talk about Grotesquerie.
Hey everybody, glad to be here. Let's talk about this. Let's chop it up. No pun intended.
Chop.
Wow, FX has a really good feel for putting on these small limited series, or maybe even not. Maybe it goes further because they started out with the whole American Horror Story, which was a continuing thing, which delightful, by the way. I am enjoying this. Niecy Nash is surprisingly good in a dramatic role, because the only thing I know her from was Reno 9/11, which was 9/11, I should call it, to be honest, which was totally different than this. What a refreshing look. Really interesting that I only saw like a couple episodes of it. I didn't get all the way through whatever's available, but I went maybe 3 episodes into it. Really good stuff. Really makes me want to watch the rest of it. I probably will. Good sense of the pacing was proper. Interesting characters to make you want to continue watching it, which is a unique thing anymore. And I just in the previews there, I saw my boy Travis Kelce coming in there.
Yeah.
So way to go, trying to get in there.
Chiefs.
I am super excited to see the rest of it. I am going to go watch it probably after the show.
Well, David, say hey to the people and talk about what you thought of Grotesquerie.
Well, happy fall, everybody. Great to be with you. This story really did kind of echo that American Horror Story that we've seen on FX before. So I thought, it felt right in with that. Great intro, great opening with that scene. And I've seen Niecy Nash in some more dramatic roles, and she really is a talent. She's fantastic and continues that here. So, it does live up to its name a bit in its grotesqueness.
Yeah.
So, get your anti-nausea pills or patch on, maybe if you're a little concerned. But it is something that really is good fodder for the fall season. And I do think this is a scary, creepy, gross winner of a show.
It is that indeed. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Pajama Life. And Tim Windsor, hi out there. He's our oldest running supporter. So we always like to give Tim a shout out. If you're out there and want us to shout you out, come into the chat and say hello. The show is now, at first I was just like, those first 5 or 10 minutes, I was like, ugh, I'm out. This is too gross for me. It's just too disgusting. I can't. So I then bit the bullet and watched the remaining episodes. The remaining I think they've had 5 now.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more interesting than I thought, because it's a murder mystery, but it's also a psychological thriller. Yeah. And I'm also wondering, now you all tell me what you think. You might not have seen some of these, Pat, but I also think how much of this is in her alcoholic delusions. So, because I was convinced when you see the scene, okay, let me just say this for all the ladies out there. Get close. And some boys. Travis Kelce is fine as hell. Good going, Taylor Swift. You really picked a good one right there. That boy has got all the swag in the world. So I get it. I didn't understand it really. And then when I seen him in this, I was like, oh yeah, I get it. I get why she was with him. Anyway, past that. I'm wondering if he is in fact real or a part of her imagination. I'm wondering how much of this is a part of her imagination. And so it's really interesting to kind of ponder some of that because Niecy Nash hasn't been able to, she did with the Netflix show about Dahmer. And she won an Emmy for that. So she's quite a great dramatic actress. And so seeing her now, she says she's never played someone struggling with addiction. And I've met a lot of alcoholics in the past. She nailed that. And so it was really interesting, her take on it. And it's a really interesting story, but it's also kind of has a lot to say about religion in our time and the kind of things that you might see, some of the negative aspects of what churches are having to do to try to convince people to come to church. And what happens, if it's a more of a commercialized thing. So those kind of things are really interesting that they're bringing up. Some of it's distasteful, but it's always interesting. And they will have one of my favorite actresses who's hit the scene, Catherine Hunter from The Tragedy of Macbeth, is in this with her gravelly, scary voice. And she's definitely, once again, kind of a scary character in this. So I was glad to see that. And just a number of Emmy nominated or Emmy award or Oscar nominated people in this. So definitely, I think it's not for the faint of heart.
No,
but if you like me can hang in there, it's at least it's interesting. And then you could just go through the parts, speed through and watch Travis Kelce on a loop. So definitely check out Grotesquerie on FX and Hulu. Okay, up next. Ooh, I can't wait to talk about it. And we're now into the 80s with Agatha All Along. Let's check it out.
Whose trial is this?
Agatha's.
How do you know?
A blood moon. When the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest.
All right. Where is she? Agatha! That is a ghost. I hate ghosts.
Who are you?
What do you want?
You must finish the witch's road. Without Agatha.
The moral of the story, kids, is always finish what you started. Also, mercy is overrated. Everybody pack up your shit. Let's go!
Well, Pat, you are a resident Marvel expert, although I feel like David and I are becoming Marvel experts. But what what did you think of this week's episode?
Excellent. Moving on, we're still paring the cast down as we suspected that we would throughout the entire run of this series, because it's not happy. It's not a typical Marvel thing. It is definitely in the line of the more horror-based Marvel. I am loving Catherine Hahn a lot. I mean, she is just really good at what she does. I mean,
great.
She really hits that nice stride between comedic and dramatic.
Yeah.
And in this, I mean, they've given her a good vehicle to go through it. We're starting to see some more hints as to who her familiar is. I'm going to stick with what I said way back at the beginning. Totally Wiccan. That's who it is. It's the son of Wanda. We'll keep going and we'll figure it out for sure towards the end of this. But I suspect that's what you're going to find. Because, I mean, it seems to me that they're also talking about making the Young Avengers either as a Disney Plus property or a movie property, which would lead to, you know, obviously they've done some really good groundwork. Having the Hawkeye series when his daughter is on there, and you have Wiccan now coming in, or whoever we want to call it now for this moment. They're doing some groundwork. I mean, Marvel and the people that running Marvel, Kevin Feige, all those particular individuals, wow. They are definitely, they're not looking at today. They're looking at tomorrow. They're looking at 5 years out. They're looking at 10 years out. Yeah. They're doing what every good business does, is they're planning a long-term business strategy to develop what they need to do. So kudos to them, and I am enjoying the heck out. This is a really good spooky Halloween-y type of feel for the whole thing. Yeah. Good timing on the release. It's just right in there. It's going to end up right on almost Halloween. Perfect. Yeah. I am enjoying it. Some little nitpicky things I would like to see differently, but you know, I really overall great show.
Now, that's what I have to say is I think Patrick is right for once. I think he's right about who it is. But I thought it was Catherine Hahn. That one scene when she brokenheartedly asked her ghost mother, you know, why do you hate me? And then to hear so cruelly why the mother hates her, it's just like, oh, wow, that's pretty heartbreaking, you know? Mm-hmm. But that's typical comics, right? You know, these dysfunctional parental-child relationships, that's a hallmark of most superhero or supervillain, you know, origin stories. And so and the death scene, I was just like shocked. I was just blown away because I was like, no, they're friends, you know, this person's trying to help her. And then it was like, oh my God, she actually did that. And it was like, oh man. Now, so she walks such an incredible line between you like her and then she'll does something that makes you despise her. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, she's not a good person. So you're not supposed to really like her. But I was surprised that, but this is typical. At this point, we're about more than halfway through. We're into the third act that, you know, there's a big like reveal at this point in the Marvel TV shows, which is great. So yeah, I like this episode, I think, better than last week's. I'm glad there wasn't a lot of singing. It got to the serious part of it. But great fun with this one, and the reveal at the end was like, oh my gosh. I'd forgotten that they were even gonna explore that. So I was like, and I was like, what did you think, David?
Oh man, I I really enjoyed this. Your comment about the line that Catherine Hahn's character works between being a protagonist that you would root for and then pulling back and being, oh, she is a villain. And she does that wonderfully. She's a fantastic actress. She's been a great complimentary character on so many different things. Sometimes you don't even realize you're seeing her. And I'm really glad she's got the spotlight because she is shining with this. But I really enjoy it. Love the chemistry with the entire cast. I don't mind the singing. I find myself humming that Down Down the Witch's Road song a lot at different times, walking the dog, reading emails. There's a spell on me about that. So it just, it is what it is. I am having a lot of fun. And this really shows I'm sticking on this same broken record when it's like you want to watch a coven of witches. You want to have some folks with maybe queer personas in there. You want to throw in some, well, are they good guys or are they bad guys? The folks at the Acolyte should have just taken a few days to sit in and watch how they were doing this story, because what they wanted to do, but in a more serious vein, and I think failed, All About Agatha has really knocked it out of the park. And I think probably, the subject matter and the context made it a little easier, but they've done it beautifully. It's fun. It's not, it's nothing for anybody to get an axe to grind on, I think, in my mind. You might want a superhero thing. Well, fine. But this is taking itself seriously in a comedic way. It's no winking at the camera like She-Hulk. This is a good show and perfect. Downright, it is as perfect as pumpkin spice and carving out your pumpkins out there and your Halloween costumes for this time of year. Bravo, Disney.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point about Acolyte, because I think the difference is this show respects the fans of the comics, and Acolyte, I feel like, wanted to push something the fans weren't prepared for. Yeah. And so then you get this horrible backlash, but I think it's not something the fans really were dying to see. Venomous, villainous, Jedi. And people are, like, people just weren't wanting that. They weren't feeling that. So, but this show makes it so that at any time, kind of like Acolyte, they'll switch, the protagonist, antagonist, but they also still respect that, okay, people like this, we're not going to go so far with these characters yet. We don't know how it's going to end, but so
and you
far.
knew what's in, and you kind of know Agatha's character. She's a villain. Maybe she has some good characteristics here too. Even said it that way. What was the phrasing of it? Compassion's overrated or something. Finish what you start. I mean, that kind of thinking and all was really missing in the Acolyte.
Yeah. And I think, she just can't help herself. If somebody's going to give it to her, she going to take it. But that's kind of a parable for these times too. There's not a lot of compassion in the world. So, this has been a really great season. It's only got 2 weeks left, I think. Maybe 3, but the final episode is a double episode. So so I don't, unfortunately, we don't have much more time with Agatha, and it'll be interesting to see how they wrap it all up. And I definitely am going to check it out. So Electric Melanin has signed on. Hey, Electric Melanin. She's one of our great longtime viewers, and you could be one too. So check out PGM Alive. Hey, Pat, say goodnight to the people.
good night, everybody. Keep watching movies and keep watching this great stuff. And if you have any questions, come see us. We will have answers.
Yeah, and next week we will. Why, it is a spooky night next week. We're going to review Mr. Crocket, Salem's Lot, the 2024 Salem's Lot, which the original is still scary, too scary for me to watch. And we're going to keep up with Agatha All Along. So definitely come back next week and check us out. David, say goodnight to the people.
Everybody have a great evening. Have a great week. Enjoy some fun stuff. And I hope whatever your fall festivities are, you make it a great one. Till next week.
We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.